Measures of center for statistics. This is an instructional video. A measure of center is a way of summarizing the data by providing a central point of data. The mean is a measure of center in which the average of the data is taken. It can be found by finding the sum of all the data points and then dividing by the number of data points. The mean can be thought of as a way of determining the fair share of something. So when we get into probability, that will make more sense. Move the gumballs around to create an equal number of gumballs in each machine. What is the fair share, which is the same as saying what is the mean or the average. So what we want to do is count the gumballs in each one of them. So when we count this first one in A, there are 11 gumballs. There are 5 in machine B and 8 in machine C. So in order to find the average or the mean or the fair share, we would take and add all of our totals together. When we do that, it ends up giving us 24. Since there are 3 gumball machines that we're looking at, we're going to take 24 and divide it by 3. And so that would mean 8 would be the fair share value. So we're going to use our understanding to answer these questions. Number 1 says the list below shows the shoe size for 8 students in this class. We have a variety of values here. The first thing we want to do is find the sum. So we want to add your totals. So once you type those in, you add those up in your calculator, you end up with a sum of 88. Then you want to count how many total values you had. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible options there, or 8 data pieces. So you would take the value of the sum of 88, divide it by the number of pieces of data that you have, which are 8, and that gives me a mean of 11. The following data represents the age of people in line to vote. So then you have your series of numbers. The very first thing you need to do is add your series together. So when I added those, you ended up with 490. There were a total of 10 values, so 490 divided by 10 would be a mean of 49. Number 3, the following data sets represent the number of times the phone rings when callers contact Comcast Cable customer service. The top of your table states how many rings, the number of rings, and then the frequency means how many times that actually occurred. So we need to make a list of all of the data pieces or the data points. So 4 rings occurred twice, so we would list that 2 times. 5 rings occurred once. 6 rings occurred twice. 7 rings did not occur. 8 rings 2 times, and 9 rings only occurred 1 time. So at this point, you want to find the sum of those values, or you want to add them. So once you did that, the sum was 50. Then you want to get the total number of values you had, or the various frequencies, and there was a total of 8 numbers in our list. So we're going to take 50 and divide it by 8, and that ends up giving us 6.25. So the mean or the average is 6.25. So now we're going to discuss median. The median is a measure of center in which the middle of the data is determined. So the median is the middle, and it can be found by ordering the data from least to greatest, determining the middle value or the middle of the set of data. And if there is not a middle number, which means there's more than one number in the middle because you have an even set of data values. Then find the average or the mean of the two middle numbers. Number 4, the following data sets represent the number of inches of snowfall within a 2-week period. So the first thing you need to do is put your numbers in order from least to greatest. So I'm going to make me a new list so that my numbers are in order. I start off with 5 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 ones, got a 1 here and here. A 1.5. I have 2 twos. 1 3. 3.5. And then a 6. And finally an 8. And many times I will count the number of values in my series to make sure that my new list matches up. Now, you need to find the number or numbers that are in the middle. And you can do that a couple of ways. You can just count it off. You can divide and figure it out that way. You can mark them off as you go. Some people like to do this. Students like to do this because they feel like they're able to track it better where they're getting to. So now I'm here and I have 2 numbers in the middle. I can't put both of those numbers because a median is a single value. So I want to find the average of these 2 numbers. So I'm going to add them together. So I'm going to do 1 plus 1.5, which is going to give me 2.5. I'm going to divide by 2 since I added 2 numbers to get that, so I can get my average, and that would give me 1.25. So my median to this series is 1.25. Number 5, the following data represents the number of broken cookies in a test of 9 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. Now this says 9 boxes, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points. So I believe there is a typo here. So we're going to change this to 8. So each one of these dots represents a data point. So we're going to start by listing our numbers out. So we have 1 0, 2 1s, a 2, 2 4s, a 6, and a 7. Now I want to find the number that is in the middle. So when I do that, I'm going to mark them off to get to the middle. And again, I have an odd number, or sorry, an even number of numbers. So I don't have just one in the middle. I have 2 numbers in the middle. So I want to add those together, 2 plus 4. That would give me 6. And then I'm going to divide that by 2 so I can find the median or mean or the average. And so that is 3. So my median is 3. I had to find the average of the 2 numbers in the middle. Number 6 says the following data sets represent the number of pieces of candy in an individual candy serving bag. So this is a frequency table. It gives you the number of candies in the bag and the frequency or the number of times that occurred. So again, we're going to make our series, our list. So the number of pieces of candy being 20 occurred twice. So we're going to list that. 22 occurred 3 times. 24 occurred 3 times. 26 did not occur at all. 28 1 time. And 30 1 time. Now you could do this a different way to get to your number in the middle, but I also wanted to kind of discuss frequency tables and the line plots while we were going over this, because that's what the last 2 have been. This is a frequency table. The one prior to this was a line plot. So now I need to find my number in the middle. And so again, you can count it off. You can check it off until you get to the number in the middle, whichever way you do prefer. So again, I have an even number of values. So I'm going to have to find the average or the mean. So I'm going to have 24 plus 22, which ends up being 46. Divide that by 2, and that ends up giving me 23, which is my median. Apply the mean and median to the data to answer these questions below. So number 7, Roanoke Middle School is holding a walkathon, and the top 5 finishers are shown in the table below. So they give you their names and the number of laps. A says, what is the mean or the average number of laps that the top 5 finishers completed? So mean is the same as average. So you want to add the series of numbers together. They equal 163, and then to get the mean or the average, you want to divide by the amount of numbers in the series, which is 5. And so my answer would be 32.6. Letter B, find the median number of laps that the top 5 finishers completed. So that would be my middle number. These are already in order from least to greatest, so I know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values, so I can just find the one that's in the middle, which would be 33. So that is your number that's in the middle. And think about median. When you're driving down the interstate, the median is the grassy part or the concrete that's in the middle of the interstate. So it's between the 2 lanes. So that may help some of you remember median. Letter C says, describe why you think the mean and the median are closely related in this situation. And it says, so to describe that, we could say all of the data points are close because there's very little variability. So all the data are close because there's little variability. So the mean and the median are close. So causing the mean and median to be close. Or resulting. Now, some additional vocabulary that you were not expecting to do is mode and range. You will see these come up occasionally. You should remember this from previous grades, but the mode is the number in a series that appears the most often. That appears the most often or most frequently. Do realize there can be more than one mode. Okay. And then the range is the difference. Difference is subtraction, so it is the difference between the highest number in the series and the lowest number. In a series of data, so in a series of values. So the range is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value in the series. Pause the video and practice. Use this to complete the practice worksheet titled Measures of Center. If you've been placed in a group, you need to try and work the problems yourself to begin with, and then share answers. If you are uncertain of how to begin, then ask your group for some directions. When you've finished, review your answers as a team, and then restart the video to check your final answers. If you're working independently, answer the questions, then restart the video to check your responses. Measures of center answer key. Be sure that you have attempted the problems before moving forward to see the answers. Be sure to correct any missed answers. Your wording on some of these may not be the same as mine, but if it has the same meaning, that would be acceptable. Number 1 says determine the mean of the following numbers. Mean is the same as the average, so we want to add all the numbers together. And so when you do that, you end up with a value of 205, and you want to divide by the number of values in the grouping, which is 5, and so your answer for the mean would be 41. Number 2, the following list has a mean of 24. What would be the new mean if 17 was added to the list? So you're going to keep your original list, except now you're going to add the value of 17 to it. So we want to add our values. When you do that, they add up to equal 161. You now have 7 numbers in the series, so we're going to divide by 7. And that would give me a new mean value, or average, of 23. Number 3, a 6th number will be added to the list. What must it be in order for the mean to be 12? Remember how to get the mean, which is the same as the average. You add and divide by the number in the series. First of all, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers there. We're adding another one, so that's going to give us 6 values or 6 numbers. So we need to know if I want my answer to come out to be 12, then I need to know what am I going to multiply 6 by to make it divide and equal 12. So really all you have to do is take 12 and multiply it times 6 to see what our total needs to come out to be. So 6 times 12 would give me 72. So if I add all the values I currently have, 7, 16, 11, 12, and 10, that gives me a sum of 56. I need it to be 72, so I can do 72 minus 56, and that's 16. So my missing number that I would need in order to get this to have a mean or an average of 12 would be 16. Number 4, find the mean of the table below. You have a couple of ways you can do this. You could list all of your numbers out and then add them, because the frequency tells me how many times 5 repeats, how many times 10 repeats, 15, and so on. So you could list them out all independently and then add, or you could say, okay, I know that 5 repeated 1 time, so that'd be 1 times 5, which is 5. The number of minutes of 10, it occurred twice. So 2 times for 10, so that's going to give me 20. 15 occurred 2 times, so 2 for 15 there, which is going to give me 30. And then the number 20 occurred 1 time, so 1 times 20 is 20. We're going to add all of our values together, and that gives me 75. Then you got to think, how many total values do I have? You need to count the frequency numbers here. So there's 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1. So there are 6 values in that series. So we're going to take 75 and divide it by 6. And so our mean for this one would be 12.5. Remember, the mean is the average. Determine the median of the following numbers. So the first thing you've got to do again is put them in order from least to greatest. So that would be 39, 40, 44, 49, 50, 54, 56, 61, 62, and 68. Again, you may want to double check your series, count the original list, count your new list, make sure you did not miss any numbers. We want to find the number or numbers in the middle. In this case, we have an even number of values, so I have 2 numbers in the middle. So I want to find the average or the mean. So 50 plus 54, that's 104 that we need to divide that by 2. So my median would be 52 for the median. Even though we did have to find the mean, that is the median of that series. Number 6 says find the median of the table below. Since it's median, you want to make sure your number is in order from least to greatest. You could count this one out and figure it out, or you could list it either way. The frequency tells me how many times the number appears. So for instance, 20 appears 3 times. 22 is twice. 24 once, and 26 3 times. And then you want to find the number in the middle, and there is an odd number of values this time, so 22 is my median. It's the number in the middle. Number 7, the following list has a median of 43. What would the new median be if 21 was added to the list? So if I added another number here, what is my new median going to be? So the first thing you have to do is put these in order. Always put them in order from least to greatest. So 21, 23, 27, 28, 31, 38, 48, 50, 52, 56, and 57. All right, and then once you have gone through your series, figured out your number in the middle, you should have come up with 38 as your median, your number in the middle. Again, double check your series and make sure that the number in the original series matches the number of values you have in your newly written series of numbers. Number 8, determine the median of the following numbers. These are already in order from least to greatest, so you just need to figure out where the middle is, and you may have more than one number in the middle. So figure that out. We end up coming up with 13 and 15. They're pretty close together. Most of the time you can gauge and figure out without doing the mean what the middle number is, but if you are not sure, find the average by adding these two together. 13 plus 15 is 28. We would divide that by 2. And so 14 would be my median for this one.